Welcome to the sixth part of the Hungarian History Podcast, which is a special edition. I am Szántai Gábor. Greetings to everyone. Today we have a special guest. Her work connects directly to the topic of our recent episodes. As you know, I just finished two podcast series about the early Ottoman wars. We talked about Hunyadi János and his son Mátyás király or King Matthias Corvinus. Historical fiction plays a big role in how people discover history, and today's guest writes fiction set in the time of the Hunyadis. Her name is Katerina Dunne. Her first novel is called Lord of the Eyrie. It is not only a gripping story, it's also a unique cultural journey. Katerina was born in Greece and has lived in Ireland for many years. She chose to write her first historical novel about Hungary. She learned the Hungarian language. She studied our past. And she brought our history to life with passion and precision. What makes this book truly special is that it was written in English first and only later translated into Hungarian. In most cases, Hungarian history is told by Hungarians and in Hungarian. Katerina brings a fresh international voice, but she never loses the authenticity. Her research is deep. Her love for Hungarian culture is clear, and she has real-life experience as a historical reenactor and Buhurt fighter. This gives her writing a gritty realism and strong emotions. The story of her novel is set during the wars of Hunyadi János. This was a dramatic time when Hungary stood against the Ottoman Empire. The novel shows us this age through the eyes of two people, a nobleman and his wife, caught in the storm of history. While the Lord plays a major role, it is his lady's voice, strength, and inner conflict that lead the story. Katerina explores loyalty, identity, and survival in a world where battle lines and alliances change fast. The second part of the series hasn't been translated into Hungarian yet, but readers in many countries are already enjoying it. Her work is a bridge between languages, between nations, and between past and present. She is truly a powerful new voice in historical fiction. I am happy to welcome Katerina Dunne to the Hungarian History Podcast. We will talk about her creative journey, her life as a reenactor and fighter, the word behind the Lord of the Eyrie. So, welcome, Katerina. First of all, thank you for joining us. You are a Greek writer living a long time in Ireland, presently resettling to Cyprus. You are writing in English, and you debut a historical novel is about 15th century Hungary. It's quite a journey. Why Hungary? What drew you to this period and culture?
Hi, Gabor. Thanks for having me on the podcast. So since my teenage years, I have felt an unexplained connection to Hungary. It's as if I have lived there in my previous life or something like that. I was very lucky to have met a Hungarian girl who was around my age back then in Athens, and then we became close friends. I learned the language from her, and I was able to explore more about Hungarian history and culture. At the same time, I love the medieval period, and I did a master's in medieval history a few years ago. So with my novels, I combined my love for Hungary with my interest in the medieval period.
I see. Thank you. It explains a lot. So your novel is set during the time of Hunyadi János, one of Hungary's most iconic military leaders. So what is your impression of Hunyadi as a historical figure? How did he inspire your story?
Hunyadi János was a massively important figure in late medieval Hungary. He was a superb military leader, but also a powerful statesman. who exercised control over the Hungarian kingdom and beyond. It was his military campaigns that inspired my novel, as he was one of the very few Hungarian commanders who dared to oppose the expansion of the Ottoman Empire into Central Europe.
I see. It is very, very good news. And what about his son, Mátyás király? King Matthias Corvinus? He's perhaps the most famous Hungarian king, and yet very different from his father. How do you see the relationship between father and son? And what do you represent in your eyes?
Yes, so although János was a military leader, as János was a military leader, he was too much consumed with war and politics. We don't know very much about his upbringing and education. However, he made sure that his sons, Laszlo and Mátyás, were groomed for high-level leadership, even to become kings. So he made sure that Mátyás was well educated by the best tutors of the time. So Mátyás, above all, was a learned man and also a clever politician who wanted to solidify his rule and control over the kingdom. At the same time, he developed the art and culture, bringing the Renaissance to Hungary. So he was very different from his father. In terms of war, he approached his wars in a very pragmatic way, and he rarely seemed to engage in campaigns that he would risk to lose.
Yes, I see this. I see the same. I agree with you. And talking about your novel, so unlike many historical novels, Lord of Erie includes a female protagonist. Could you tell me a few words about this?
Yes, so the story was inspired by the warriors of the borderland who defended the kingdom of Hungary for centuries. But next to these warriors stood their women, who managed the estates when their husbands were out fighting. So this is why I have added a female main character against the male main hero. So these women seemed to be absent from the chronicles of the period, although they do appear in some of the documentary sources. So by having a female main character alongside the male hero, I wanted to bring those quote-unquote neglected women to the forefront and show their bravery, loyalty, and their love for their homeland.
It is a very rare thing and exceptional, I think, so I liked it in your novel very much. But the novel doesn't follow the expected path of heroic victories or neat conclusions. So without giving away spoilers, what made you decide on a more complex or bittersweet ending?
So the main reason is that this book is only the first part of the full story. The story continues in the second book, which is called Return to the Eyrie. So this is why the ending is not conclusive. In addition, I think that the value of fiction rests in the ability of the author to create complex characters and situations that mirror real life rather than present a romanticized version of the past.
Very true. I agree with you again, Katerina. And you see, many historical fiction works tend to romanticize the past, as you mentioned. So what was your guiding philosophy as you wrote this story? What message or emotion did you want readers to take away?
So I wanted to show the harsh reality of life during the period, and also to show that people who lived in the past were not much different from people now. So they had the same emotions, fears, dreams, expectations. They were very, very similar to what we are right now. So this is why this is what I wanted to show in this novel.
I could sense it, really. Katerina, you wrote Lord of Erie originally in English, and it was later translated into Hungarian, a rare reversal of the usual path. What was it like to have your story translated into the language of the country it's set in?
First of all, I would like to thank my publisher and translator, Mr. Bordas Robert, for giving me the opportunity to have the novel published in Hungarian, and also yourself, Gabor, and everybody else who was involved in this publication.
Oh, thank you.
I have to admit, I felt very excited, but also scared about the way my book would be perceived and judged by the Hungarian readers. Because I am a foreign-born person, that I write about their history. So I hope they will enjoy it. I hope they will find it good.
I have already heard very good reception and reviews about your book from my Hungarian friends, so it is being appreciated. And you mentioned, Katerina, that you learned the Hungarian language from your girlfriend in Athens, which it is not a small feat, and it must have been very difficult. So what motivated you to take on such a difficult language, really? And how has it deepened your connection to Hungarian history?
Well, it was this love that I had for everything Hungarian that motivated me to learn the language. And when I met this girl, she was a neighbor in Athens, I found it as a perfect opportunity to learn the language finally. At some stage, actually, I wanted to move to Hungary, but this plan never materialized. So I've ended up in Ireland instead.
Wow.
Yeah. However, years later, the knowledge of the language helped me immensely in my research, because I was able to read sources and modern research in Hungarian, which I would have missed if I didn't know the language. So it actually helped me both in my master's, because I did my thesis in the civil war in the Kingdom of Hungary between 1438 and 1442, and also in writing the novel.
Excellent. It is not a small thing, but you are not just an author, you are also a historical reenactor and buhut fighter, I know. How did you get into that world, and how does it influence your writing?
So I joined a medieval combat group in Ireland. I think it was back in 2017. It was around that time, yes. And I did that in order to learn the basics of hand-to-hand combat for research purposes, obviously, because I was writing the novel and I wanted to know, I had fight scenes, so I wanted to know how, personal combat happened, and then also, in groups and everything else. I enjoyed it very, very much. And although I never competed in events, I helped the group in arranging the event, in counting the scores and taking part in all the different festivals dressed in the medieval clothes. Also, fighting helped me understand, physically fighting like myself in the training, helped me understand the techniques, the weapons and the armor of the period.
Wow, yes, it is related to my next question, that many of our listeners are interested in reenactment. Imagine in Hungary there are about 30,000 reenactors.
Wow.
and people just love history, or even HEMA, the Historical European Martial Arts. Mm-hmm. I like longsword fencing a bit, but I am not very good at it. Anyway, in your view, what makes reenacting valuable or important today, especially when it comes to connecting with the past?
It is a study of the past, of the history, and it helps us understand the past, the way of life of the previous generations. And it helps us connect with them and with history, and also study history and learn from it, which is the most important part of studying, is learning.
Wow. And I have just a quick question. What did your Irish mates, reenactors, say about your Hungarian research?
It was the combat group. I was not involved in reenactment per se. It was mostly the fighting, but we were actually wearing the clothes of the period and the armor and all that. So it was recreating, basically, yes, the past. So they were very interested. A lot of them have actually read the book. they said they learned so much about Hungary, medieval Hungary, that they didn't know. So they were very interested.
It is very interesting because many Hungarian people feel a very close connection to the Irish and the Scottish people because of the similar history. So, and the Greek people have also a connection, historical similarity to the Hungarians. So all of these things are combined in you, Katerina. I can see it, and I am very
yes. All
happy.
the centuries of fighting against the Ottoman Empire and all that is very common between Greece and Hungary.
And how do the Greek people think about Hungarian fights against the Ottomans?
I don't really know very much because I've lived for 25 years outside of Greece. So I don't know what they think.
Okay, but hopefully we will find it out. So anyway, the second part of your story is already out in English and in German.
Yes, that's right. Yes,
so can you give us a sneak peek of what readers can expect in the continuation of this story? Will it also be translated into Hungarian?
Yes, the story continues in the second book. And the second book is told from the point of view of a new female character. Those who read the first book will know which this character is going to be. Hopefully, it will also be translated into Hungarian. I hope if Mr. Bordas is on board with this, so that readers can actually find out how the story ends in the Hungarian market as well.
I am so lucky that I have read it in English already, and I can tell to my listeners that this is an excellent book, and everybody will be happy at the end of the story and satisfied.
I hope so.
I personally enjoyed it very, very much, and we can hardly wait for the second.
Yeah, I can tell you already that the second book has as much adventure as the first one, and a lot of exciting scenes and fights and things like that too.
The world needs it very much. The world needs your work because nobody reads academic books except for a few people. So these kind of novels are very rare and they fill a gap. And that's why I'm very lucky that I know you. And also I must betray to my listeners that you are on the board of my community group on Facebook, and you take part in disseminating Hungarian history in the world, and you are doing a very good job. Yes. So now that you have gained Hungarian readership, do you have plans to visit Hungary soon, perhaps for events, book signings, or reenactments? I would be glad to meet you in person.
Yes, I would love to. I would love to visit. However, at the moment, I've just moved to Cyprus, which is a new country for me, and I need to sort out my life here first. But as soon as I get the opportunity, I hope I can go to Hungary and meet yourself, and also maybe do an event or something if my publisher also is on board.
Okay, but without your publishers, we welcome you anyway.
Yes, I know.
So finally, to wrap up, what does history mean to you personally? And what role do you think fiction plays in helping us understand it?
History is so important. Studying the past helps us understand the present challenges. History is the best teacher. Unfortunately, people tend to forget it, and they make the same mistakes again and again, instead of learning from the past mistakes. About the second part of your question, well-researched fiction transports us to the past and immerses us into the life of previous generations. Although it is subjective and based on the author's interpretation of past events, it still is a valuable tool for learning about the past.
It is indeed. I can reassure you. So I encourage you to write more books. I heard that you are interested in the Mongolian invasion against Hungary in 1241-42.
This is going to be my next project. As I said, because I have moved now, I'm not sure when I'll start working on this. But it is my next project to write a novel set during the Mongol invasion in the 13th century.
Yes, time is a monster. Thank you, Katerina, for sharing your passion, your story, your unique perspective on Hungarian history. It's not every day we meet a Greek author in Ireland and in Cyprus now, writing in English about Hunyadi János, a reenactor, not a Buhurtist lady who speaks even Hungarian, right?
Yes.
Well, if you would like to read Lord of Erie, you will find in both in English and now in Hungarian translations as well. And keep an eye out for the continuation of the story already available in English. The good news is that both books of Katerina Dunne are available also in German on the Amazon. So for those of you following our podcast series on the Ottoman Wars, I hope this episode offered a new lens on the world of the Hunyadis and their interpretation with the help of Katerina. Thank you, Katerina, for joining us.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to add as well that the title of the novel in Hungarian is Sosfisek Ura. I hope I pronounced it correctly.
Excellent.
But this is what the title is a direct translation of Lord of the Erie. And thank you so much for having me on the podcast.
Thank you, and please join us next time. We are expecting you. Thank you very much. Goodbye, Katerina.
Bye.
And thank you for joining us today on the Hungarian History Podcast. And again, special thanks to Katerina Dunne for sharing her story, her research, and her passion for Hungarian history. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow, rate, or share the podcast. It helps more people discover our common past. In our next episode, we return to the world of real events, to the dramatic years that led to the Battle of Mohács. We will explore the main figures, the choices, the alliances, and the mistakes that brought the Kingdom of Hungary to the turning point in 1526. Until then, take care and remember, history lives on as long as we tell its stories. It was Szántai Gábor and the Hungarian History Podcast. Goodbye, sziasztok, a viszonthallásra!